The fight is a total mess, and right in the middle of it, the long-haired warrior stands facing his enemies. We see the warrior gripping his sword with a shaky hand, completely worn out, yet standing tall like he isn't moving at all. While the three clan bosses, the bald Namong Guang, Haiyan Jinian, and Zhang Guang from Mount H, just watched, one of them finally lost his cool and screamed that it was time to send him to the afterlife with eyes glowing a creepy red. So the MC stared at the old Jessers and replied that they were the only ones left on his list. Baldy Haiyan Jinqian, realizing the situation is turning serious, warns his friends to stay alert and steps into a fighting stance right next to the other two seniors. The MC fires a message saying he'll wait for me in the parking lot, and one of the leaders looks so scared his knees start shaking. The monk takes the blow and flies backward, crashing into the ground and sending dirt flying everywhere. Furious, and with his hairless head gleaming in the lights, the bald man prepares to unleash a storm of insults, hurling every nasty nickname he can think of at the MC. He channels all his power and fires off a heavenly palm strike. A huge burst of green energy shoots directly at you. The MC feels no fear as he rides his sword, ready to send the small gift they gave him right back. He knocks the energy away as if it were just a ping-pong ball glowing with red light. Then he charges at the monk and challenges him to see who hits the ground first. As the MC pushes harder, one leader shouts at the others to stop just watching and actually do something. Following the command, the other two older men leap in and let their powers fly. The screen splits to reveal three special moves: Plum Blossom, Lightning Strike, and Rolling Thunder Strike. The two masters join their strength and unleash everything they have against the MC. The MC takes the blow, coughing up red syrup and screaming in pain because it hurt like heck. Even after that combo, the bald monk doesn't give him a break and readies another one, gathering green energy around him. Stretching out a hand, the abbot strikes the final blow and then, playing the saint, tells the hero to be reborn in a better life. But the MC is tough. He swings his giant sword to block the attack. One of the leaders stands there with his jaw dropped, looking like he's seen a ghost, wondering what sorcery keeps this guy alive. Just like a ninja, the MC disappears from everyone's view, leaving behind only a cloud of dust and total confusion. Suddenly, the hero's hand bursts from the dirt, sending a huge splash of red liquid flying everywhere. Right after that, the monk is hammered into the ground with brutal force, while the two others watch from their VIP seats, and the MC signals the next victim, confirming that Haiyan Jin has been eliminated. The two leftovers freeze in terror, their wide eyes showing they just made a huge mistake with the wrong guy. The MC crashes down, so hard the ground splits open from the pain. As a demon charges forward, one of the leaders slams up a magical shield and screams at his partner to run. But it was already too late, for the MC caught up to the white-haired Jesser and gave him a hard slap that made him groan in pain. With a creepy little smile and glowing red eyes, the story finally brings out the beast, the divine demon Zhang Qian. It took a huge army of warriors to stop that lone man who painted the plains red all by himself. Even after all 9 great masters poured their strength into this mission, it was still a massive hassle. The narration says that facing the strongest person in the world nearly broke their alliance. In a flashback, the Mount HOAS leader Zhang Guang clashes swords with Zhang Qian, who taunts the old man by asking if he's already bought a coffin. Zhenong acts all confident and says, yes, it's all ready, but the hole is actually meant for Zhang Qian himself. Old Jesser unleashes the Plum Blossom Rain technique, turning the air into a magical storm of falling petals and trees. Amidst all the tricks of the eye, Gianni just stands there, chilling and soaking in the view of the soaring palace. Clutching his sword tightly, he knows his time to die hasn't come yet. Suddenly, a wave of nostalgia sweeps over him, pulling him back to a simpler time when he was younger, sitting at a family picnic under a tree, watching everyone's faces glow with pure joy. With his blood demon art ignited, Zhang Qian declares he won't die today and readies the 5th form of his sword style. He drops his most broken card, the Black Dragon Execution, which blasts everything to pieces and shoots shadow tentacles everywhere. Old Man Zhang lets out a final scream as the strike erases him from existence, and a message instantly flashes up to confirm that he is now permanently banned from the server. The final survivor, Naaman Wang, is stunned that the MC is still on his feet and quickly raises a blue barrier to protect himself. The old man pulls out the Infinite Emperor's sword art, firing a storm of blue blades straight at Gong Qian. Even though he looks like a sieve from all the cuts, Zhang Qian complains about the rat Namong hurting him, but he holds on because he has reasons not to fall. A quick look at his memory reveals 2 messy kids clinging to him, the perfect reason he refuses to let go. Back in the fight, Young Qian laughs at the old man's weak blow while Namong stares in shock, unable to believe the fighter isn't even taking a step back. The MC lifts his sword again, glowing with a dark power, ready for the next round. Without hesitation, he rushes at Namong, blasting a powerful wave of red and black energy. Namangun gets hit square in the face, and hot red syrup drips down as he tries to hold back a scream of agony. The blow is so powerful that it drives the old Jesser straight into the dirt. Lying broken on the ground, Namong spits out every nasty insult he can think of at Zhang Qian. Even though he's completely wrecked, the old man gathers whatever strength remains in him just to stand up and avoid making a fool of himself. He throws his entire fortune into one final strike, summoning several blue blades that fly straight at the MC. They lock eyes in a tense standoff right before the final strike. The blade struck Zhang Qian and shoved him backward, yet he didn't even blink. Namong grabs the moment to charge in, screaming for the MC to finally die as he drives his sword right into him. The old man roars that Zhang Qian's stubbornness stops right there. Zhang Qian takes the hit with glowing eyes, showing that even bad weeds don't die easily. Amidst the chaos of the battle, Zhang Qian sees a vision of a woman and 2 children, and as the picture becomes clearer, he knows it is time to go. Back to reality, he grabs Namangun's blade with his bare hand and says, "Playtime is over," while Zhang Qian screams with red eyes that this mess must end right now. Even with a sword in his gut, Zhang Qian uses his raw strength to shove Namong back, causing the old man to groan in pain. Namong stares in shock at the impossible scene, grimacing in agony as the MC's overwhelming power leaves him humiliated. Zhang Qian swiftly strikes Namong with his free hand, causing the old man to scream in pain. The MC drives his hand right through Namong's chest, ending the clan leader's life with one final deadly strike. Zhang Qian ends it all with a mighty sword slash. Namong's head falls slowly, and his dead eyes show that he is lost. As Namong fades away, he wonders how I managed to break his heart and questions whether Zhang Qian is truly human or just a robot. The old man finally admits the stranger is the divine demon and accepts his defeat before letting go to move on to the afterlife. The alert confirms that Naaman Huang has officially passed away. With a serious look, the tale tells us that even the 9 most powerful beings tried their best to stop the hero. Now the ground is covered with people who disappeared, proving Sex was the real loser. Gripping his grimy sword, Zhang Qian whispers his family's names, Yayanhua, Suk, and Yang, while facing a broken back, gazing at the horizon and wondering if he did enough or if something vital was missing. Suddenly, the story jumps to a village where people are shouting insults and complaining about an arrogant show-off. A hand pops up on the screen, reaching out to grab something. Once, an older man held a young boy's face and praised his brave, fighting spirit. The memory shows the boy training, and the narrator realizes he hasn't seen his master in ages, marking the start of his life in the Murim. The tale begins with a struggle for survival, where a homeless man clutches a rusty sword to see the next dawn, only to find himself trapped in a vicious cycle of killing someone just to send them to the other side. He wondered if his endless killing was actually meaningful or just a silly pastime. Standing among those frozen, lifeless forms, he thinks about how easily life can slip away. A smiling woman popped into his head and told him she got the whole drama. She tells him that she fights at the market every day because you have to treat everyone like an enemy to survive, and dealing with hungry siblings really wears you out. She admits that even when she lost her parents and hit rock bottom, they were the ones who gave her a reason to get back up. With a smile, she suggests he find a reason to live, perhaps by adopting a cat. Back in the present, a dying Zhang Qian finally realizes that for a killer who only knew how to end lives, they were the only light left to save him. He looks back at the past, the need for revenge, and a life that went nowhere, lost in the mess trying to find any meaning at all. The only bright spot in the dark is the picture of the smiling woman. He stares at the rising sun, lighting up his scared face. A single tear traces a path down his cheek, carrying a mix of sadness, relief, and the sweet weight of a job well done. Staring at the family waiting for him, he finally saw that life's meaning had been right there all along, and he was just too blind to notice. He thought about 15 years of bloodshed, where even with a dull blade and a broken body, he gave everything for revenge before the rising sun finally brought him peace. Amidst the chaos, he lowers his sword to face the story's final truth, the divine demon Zhang Qian, a famous hero now dead. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a noisy spot where someone is refusing to sell martial arts for just pocket change. The MC wakes up startled by the shouting and wonders if he's ended up downstairs in hell, where a redhead is arguing with a man that since her older brother is broke, her son will inherit the Shu Flame clan's secret techniques. Confused, the MC glances to the side and spots a kid who looks just as lost, leaving him wondering if this is a nightmare or if he's actually in hell. The little brother leaps in front of the MC, shouting "No way," to show everyone his big brother is still alive and demanding to know how they dare offer the clan's secrets to strangers. A furious little girl joins the argument, screaming that they aren't related at all, and she insists that even if her brother can't train, Grandpa's techniques must still belong to the Hawaii Flame Clan. Suddenly, the MC's eyes turned a scary red, showing that the soul of the fake demon was finally waking up inside his body. Zhang Qian stares at the tiny rugrats, defending him, completely baffled and wondering who these kids are in this strange new world. Meanwhile, the arguing guy just gives a small smirk. He turns to the group and declares the conversation isn't over, sharing an idea that instantly sparks curiosity in one of the kids. The guy keeps talking, revealing that the two siblings are broke and starving, so he suggests they bet some cash instead. He turned to the MC and said that while things settle, Kim Eugene is ready to bet the clan's entire martial arts legacy in a winner-takes-all duel. The scumbag looks at the kids and asks what they think, dumping all the pressure on the little ones. The youngest snaps, screaming that his brother could never start training because of his sickness, and asks if the guy really thinks he's falling for such a cheap scam. But the MC complains that all that chatter and noise is just too much for him. Then he grabs the kid's attention and asks who this Wamu Jin guy is, leaving the two little ones completely confused. With the swagger of a king who thinks he owns the place, the MC drops the bombshell and reveals his true name, the divine demon Zhang Qian. Bucho Yunan, the head of the merchant group, dropped her jaw in shock and asked what he had just said, only for the MC to repeat that the world calls him that, leaving her completely confused. A younger guy named Chiang Dabo starts laughing right in the MC's face, mocking him by calling the joke terrible and suggesting he should just call himself the king of the underworld to finish the act. The two kids felt huge embarrassment, wondering why their brother had to have such a crazy episode right now. The wealthy kid keeps making fun of him, laughing that the main character's crazy behavior is getting even worse. Bu Choyan sneers at their messy hair and declares that the Haiwa Flame Clan is finished for good. Frustrated, the younger boy yells at her to stop talking and stay quiet. Chang Dabo nods to the quiet understanding, agreeing to the duel and setting the rules himself. He and his mom turn their backs and head out, shouting that the big showdown will happen at the buying pavilion on the 5th day of the second month. Before he bounces away, the pretty boy spins around to warn them that breaking a martial artist's promise brings bad news, then walks off with his mom and kids, laughing at the name Divine Demon and treating it like a huge joke. The youngest one is so angry that he can't believe those guys just decided everything for themselves with such boldness. The little girl steps right up to the main character, her face full of worry as she asks what he plans to do while reminding him he's never even held a sword properly in his life. Zhang Qian spins around, confused by the chaos, and asks if she's really speaking to him. He bursts into laughter at the claim that he never wielded a sword, convinced that against a rookie, he only needs to unleash a tiny bit of power to finish the fight. But then, out of nowhere, he stops dead and the laugh dies in his throat, looking like he finally realized he's in big trouble. He stares at his trembling hands, confused and searching for where his strength has gone, while the children watch in panic, completely lost, until the MC shouts in frustration, demanding to know what's happening and pointing out that his energy tank is completely empty. He keeps freaking out, saying his body is too fragile to even lift a fork, let alone a sword. The little girl, feeling scared, begs him to end the show, thinking he's just acting crazy again. She pleads with her brother to return to his usual self, arguing that even if he's a bit crazy, he's still their big brother, and she can't believe anyone would accept such a foolish challenge without fighting back. The boy steps forward to stop his sister, angrily asking how she dares call their brother a fool and demanding she apologize right away. Her face is so dark and angry that it looks like a pressure cooker ready to burst. Then she lashes out at the MC, screaming that it's all his fault for the death of their parents. The MC stays silent, just watching the drama unfold without a clue about what's going on. The little girl runs off crying, leaving her brother to sigh like a tired corporate slave on a Friday night. The boy tells the MC that his sister is just like this and asks for patience. So the MC agrees and quietly slips away. So the MC turns around, starts walking away, and leaves the kids behind. He feels the situation is really bad, especially since even the kids think he's crazy, and then the scene suddenly shifts to a quick view of a building against the setting sun. Standing by the tombstone, the MC vividly recalls his final moments in crystal clear detail. He can still see the bloody moment he cut off the Namon clan leader's head and feel the heavy sword in his grip. He also recalls the terrible feeling of his heart getting stabbed, running out of breath, and eating dust. He believed he had avenged Yinhua and the others, so he felt he could finally rest in peace. But now he finds himself awake in this fragile body, completely lost and unsure of what to do. He starts freaking out again, asking himself how this happened as he runs desperately through the courtyard. He also wonders who those kids are that seem so much like Seo and Young. He keeps thinking back to the little girl who called him crazy. Suddenly, a man dashes toward him, crying out, "Master," which freezes the MC in confused surprise. He walked in scolding the other guy, asking if he ran away again and how much trouble he caused. The MC slams him with the question, "Who are you?" And the man stares in confusion as he realizes he knows the face. The man known as Vassal Masak thinks he's having another amnesia attack, so he decides to explain everything from the very beginning. He tells how Yumujin was so gifted that every Orthodox sect begged to make him their top student, and by 23, he led his own clan. Yet he sighs in frustration because he's explained this 6,000 times, and the main character just nods along. Yung Xian is confused, wondering why his legendary power doesn't protect him from having his core shattered and being treated like a crazy fool by everyone. Maesok looks a little uncomfortable when he says this tragedy is exactly what he wants to talk about. The tale jumps back 17 years to show two kids watching from a distance while someone shouts at them to fight without any energy. 6-year-old little Wu Jin steps up and accepts a fair fight with Chong Dabo. At 9 years old, he eagerly accepts the challenge, promising a fight with only his bare hands and no powers. The kids suddenly start throwing punches at each other in a fierce fight that no one expected from their age. Nobody knows who started it, but Chua Mujin sneaked out to do it while the grown-ups weren't watching. The two battled with such perfect skill that it made grown men look foolish. The battle rages on with fists and feet whizzing past, leaving behind a blur of colorful wind trails. He lets out an evil grin, clearly enjoying the beating just a little too much. He strikes a blow that knocks Hichuan Mujin flying backward from the impact. A viewer shouts that Dabo is a real beast who is blocking everything. The back-and-forth fight goes on, with both fighters proving they are evenly matched. Hoya Mujin cheers on Dabo, calling him the brilliant genius everyone whispers about with amazing talent, but Dabo just looks totally lost by all the praise. Mujin grins with a dark glow in his eye, calling Dabo a fool as he gets ready. He fires a blue energy blast at Du, leaving her shocked and confused. He was thrown far from the blow, crashed down to the ground hard, and let out a groan from the pain. Even while lying on the ground, he manages to rise, stumbling and spitting blood as he shouts at Hai Mujin, demanding to know why he used the 7 wounds fist strike when it was meant to be powerless. Ho Mujin floats in the air, striking a pose to mock him, asking if Dabo still considers him a friend, to which Dabo replies yes, while warning that the move he just used carries heavy side effects that are no joke even from a single hit. He keeps bragging about recently testing his new move on an arrogant older brother, leaving him bettered with a grin, and now he's ready to see how Hua Mujin takes his next energy blast. In the present, Zhang Qian finally gets it, realizing his madness is the price he paid for that forbidden move. He erupts in rage, realizing the crippled man drained his strength and drove him mad, yet still dared to challenge him to a fight. Ma was asked how they handled that man back then to cause such a mess, and Misoki explained it was the previous leader's choice. The MC asks if it was his dad, and the vassal says it was. Moke says that because Dabo was a cousin of the powerful merchant family, his dad just gave him a light scolding and let the whole thing go. Zhang Qian was furious, unable to believe his father fixed the broken legs of his own son with nothing but a sharp, "Don't do that again." He mutters that the family is pathetic and wonders where the parents have gone. Misoki gazes at him with a heavy heart and begins to speak about his troubles. The scene shifts to a shadowy hall lit by candles, lined with tablets honoring those who have passed. On one of the tablets, we see a woman's face, likely the MC's mother. Mesa kept talking about his madness growing worse while his father sank into deep debt searching for a cure. He tells us that his mom died of illness 9 years ago, and his dad, burdened by debt, passed away 3 years later. Yung Xian stands still, gazing at the memorial for his parents. He and the kids stood quietly to honor them. Hua Muji's bad luck is summed up in a child who broke the family, a son who cost his parents their lives, and a brother who ruined his younger siblings, leaving the whole clan's reputation in ruins. All he had left were debts, 2 loyal servants, a few fighters, and his younger siblings, Hua Jin and Huan. The scene shifts back to the girl screaming that his parents' death is his fault. Staring at the tablet, Zhang Qian realizes one sickness wiped out the entire family, and that explains why the girl is so rebellious. The scene shifts to night, revealing the clan's home beneath a sky filled with thick clouds. Zhang Qian is in Wamujin's room, looking over a pile of books. He thinks he found some useful clues in the kid's history books that remind him of his past life as the divine demon Jianian and how he died fighting the 9 great sects 30 years ago. The real world feels true, not a dream. So now he is Wu Jin, the Hua Flame clan's eldest son with absolutely no energy core. He realized that since he had already taken out everyone he needed to in his past life, he had absolutely no regrets. While everything was in chaos, he stumbled upon drawings left by the children that begged him to get well soon. Looking at the messy scribbles, he wonders if they are siblings, and for the first time, something strange stirs in his chest. Feeling sad for them, he thinks back to those 2 kids from his own past. He decides to face his new life and help the kids, but a giant problem looms. The Qiango merchant group, who crippled his body and destroyed his clan. He knows he has to get ready quickly for his big fight with Kai and Dabo next month, because he'll have to start building himself up from zero. He decides he'll have to start from scratch and do it all over again. Zhang Qian sat down to meditate, closing his eyes to hunt for a stream of power inside his new body. It takes him back to when he first started martial arts, where even taking a deep breath felt like a real challenge. He gives a small, knowing smirk as he remembers the tough times of his early training. Suddenly, power surges in his center and begins to spin. He senses this body holds a terrifying power, and as an aura of strength wraps around him, dark shadows of his family rise up behind him. The guy realizes he doesn't even need to try to feel the energy, controlling it all with one hand tied behind his back. Confident that simply shutting his eyes will fix everything, he believes the problem is solved. A burst of energy erupts, wrapping him in a dazzling golden glow. The power surges so violently that it flashes, illuminating the whole courtyard in an instant. Up above, a shooting star zooms across the sky like a warning that real trouble is coming. Far off, 2 men gamble while a blonde guy suddenly feels the heavy pressure building in the air. The blonde girl springs to her feet, suddenly feeling that something strange is happening. Back in the room, the servants rush in screaming to ask the young master what happened, only to find him collapsed and still as a stone. A servant checks his pulse, screams that he's gone to the other side, and slips on a very suspicious spot. The other servant claims he is tripping, saying his pulse beats harder than ever before. The first guy is confused and can't believe he feels so much better now. Zhang Qian sits up with help and complains that his body hurts from trying to build a core, which leaves the servant confused. He wonders if the body has a special name, and the bearded man replies that people call it the celestial martial body. The MC repeats the name while the servant jokes that it's a heavenly gift chosen by a monk. But then the servant laughs so hard that the MC gets so angry he spits blood and realizes that mixing with the celestial martial body is too dangerous for his demonic arts, since light and darkness clash and could kill him soon. The blonde fans gently stroke Zhang Qian's face, urging the young master to keep going. Lying down, Zhang Qian grumbles about being stuck in his body as the duel turns nasty and his chances look grim. An old man stepped forward to ask who they were, but the servant quickly replied, "That's Manager Du and Elder Zhou." The MC spots their strange faces, and Manager Du Baixin and Elder Zhou Huanong step in to say the kid is getting worse and it's time to get ready. Suddenly, Elder Zhou jumps at the kid while the manager yells that he's a scumbag before getting hit himself. Under a sky full of stars, Zhang Qian screams that he won't fall for the manager's demand to stay put. The story shifts to a village where the rain is falling. A servant shouts that the young master has lain in bed for 3 days. The servant stepped up to the MC, who had turned his back, and asked if he was still alive, fearing the blonde thought his rotten body would fail him before the duel even started. With his face wrapped in bandages, the MC grabs the guy by the collar, demands he shut up because his head is pounding, and insists he needs a sword right now. He shouts at a servant to go get the swords immediately. The servant stammers about having barely enough food, certainly not enough for a sword, which makes the MC snap and wonder if the whole clan is just broke. The servant says they're borrowing money from the Bango sect, a bunch of ruthless sharks charging insane interest. A flash of lightning splits the sky, signaling just how deep the trouble has gone. Zhang Qian knows his clan has fallen apart, so he must fix the money problems before anything else. Then, he tosses a gem of wisdom into the mix because the debt is already so huge that grabbing a little more won't change anything, leaving the servant stunned. The servant freaks out and asks if he's lost his mind, but the MC tells him to shut up and write a letter to the elders. Zhang Qian, wrapped in bandages and wearing a straw hat, declares that he is off for a walk. He leaps out the window, leaving the servant to talk to himself in silence. The bearded man panics and asks if the young master went to the Bango sect again. A servant asked what was wrong, and the bearded man warned that if they mess with Bango, the soul sect might get involved. The story moves to the entrance of the Bango sect. Zhang Qian steps up to the guard and asks him to tell the boss that the boss wants to speak. The guard, a massive tank named Kong No, just laughed in his face and told him to stop wasting time. The MC wanted to let him in, but the servant tried to calm things down by saying the boss was sick, which just made the guard even more annoyed. Zhang Qian looks up at the huge man and asks what he's staring at. The guard was stunned by the kid's attitude. Suddenly, a golden shuriken shoots in and halts right before the guard, sending everyone scrambling in fear. A man showed up asking who everyone was, and the servant explained that they were looking for the leader. The man presses for an answer, and the MC bluntly admits it's all about getting more cash. Vice Leader Ma Juno knows he is just a customer. Zhang Go tells us not to bother the big boss. He beckons Zhang Qian to step inside the dark lair. The servant shivers so badly his knees knock while shouting to his young master as they cross the bridge. He shouts that you can still turn back, but he smells something terrible coming. Zhang Qi, cool and calm as always, just says they're already there. Two guys talk about how Granny Shin watched the leader use a weird trick to rip a martial artist in half. The scene shows a group of masked men practicing their skills inside a dark cave. The MC asks about the technique, the guy brags about its awesome name, and the MC just shrugs it off before golden shurikens fly out and pin the path shut. Ma Zhengbo pops up to say it's too late to turn back now. Zhang Qian stays silent, quietly studying everything around him. Ma Zhengbo, flanked by his thugs, shouts for the party to begin. Zhang Qian picks up a coin from the ground and asks, "Is this what you wanted?" Mei Junbo smiles and admits he wouldn't dare take a swing at him right in front of everyone. He yells at the MC for being shameless about not paying interest and vows to stop him from wasting money, just like his parents did. The servant pleads for their lives, but Yung Qian snaps at the mention of their parents. He looks right at the bully and says in a cold voice that he has no parents. Mai Jungo and his crew close in to surround the two of them. Zhang Qian recalls his previous life and declares that the real fun is just about to start. The boss tells the gang to teach them a lesson, so the goons charge right at them. Zhang Qian straightens his hat and steps up, all ready for the fight. As a goon rushes forward screaming curses, the MC snaps and unleashes a flash of yellow surprise. He hurls a hard punch right at him, but Zhang Qian slips out of the way, and the fist only slams into empty space. The thug freezes in shock as the MC's powerful presence instantly pushes him back. The man winces in pain as the blow lands. The MC slams the guy to the ground and teases him for being too soft for his big size. He believes that even with a weak body, skill can overpower raw strength. He grabs a coin and shouts, "What are we waiting for?" He tosses a coin at the man and shouts for the servant to strike. The servant lunges forward, sword drawn, ready to strike. He strikes quickly, proving he's not an easy mark. The startled bandit spat a curse at the servant, calling him a rat. Zhang Qian keeps running because he's terrified of getting caught. He lunges at the other guy, shouting, "That's the stuff," and connects with a solid punch that sends pain straight into the man's face. He gets so mad he screams a curse and tries to kick back. Zhang Qian slips out of the way and immediately strikes back, leaving the attacker completely surprised. He spins through the air, eager to share his kindness with the other enemies. He knocks down several guys with a combo so fast that one of the poor suckers goes cross-eyed, just trying to keep up with the MC skills. The main character hits one of them hard right in the face. He keeps the combo rolling, sending two more foes to the ground without missing a beat or showing any mercy. The Bangosk thugs lie flat on the ground, completely embarrassed after Zhang Qian showed them how it's done. The servant dashes in, all shaken up, and desperately asks if the young master is okay. Zhang Qian stays cool and asks where the servant learned to fight so well. The MC shows off the coin and calls it just street smarts, while the servant is confused by this hustler life until Zhang Qian nods in approval. Meijo, glowing with raw energy, throws a challenge to the MC to dodge his next strike. He throws a huge attack, but Zhang Qian stops it all with just a tiny coin, making it feel like a total embarrassment. Mad Yung Bo's jaw drops as he wonders if that thing is really just a coin, now glowing with dark power. The man shouts for the fools to move aside so he can deal with this himself. He shouts that he only wants to have a quick chat with their leader and asks if that's too much to ask. Ma Yung shot back with a smirk that the leader isn't the kind of person who'd take time to meet folks like him. He lunges at Zhang Qian, yelling that he's about to get crushed. A sudden flash of light cuts through the darkness, proving just how fierce the battle between the two powers really was. Jiang Qian blocks Ma Junbo's attack with just a chopstick, leaving the vice leader staring in stunned silence. Jiang Qian cracks a joke, saying he forgot his sword and brought his eating utensil instead, but it's working just fine. The two warriors lock eyes and begin smashing into each other in a crazy fight. Jiang Qian believes the rumors are real, and that guy truly wields some pretty exotic martial arts. He grabs the chopsticks tight, ready to turn his opponent into dinner. He sees a crack in Meijo's guard and charges forward to attack. Ma Junbo groans in pain, shocked that the MC not only stopped a sword with a stick but found a hole in his defense. Jiang Qian strikes Ma Junbo in the neck, causing him to scream out in fury. Ma Junbo, furious, calls the MC a rat, but Jiang Qian warns him that underestimating the chopstick is a serious mistake that could lead to a messy situation. So the MC quickly forms several energy discs using the chopstick. He throws the discs at Ma Junbo, who takes a hard hit and grunts in pain. Ma Junbo lies on the ground, admitting he thought the MC was useless before realizing how strong he really is. Jiang Qian stepped closer and whispered that he'd heard the guy's family is drowning in debt. He kept the conversation flowing by asking who the debt collectors actually were. The chopstick tip glows bright blue, waiting to punch another hole in the enemy. He stabs Ma Junbo's shoulder with a chopstick and asks if that's how he tried to get money. Ma Junbo roars in fury, screaming a defiant, "What if it was?" He dares the main character to taste the power he has been looking down on. Ma Junbo, bubbling with rage, roars that playtime is over. He readies his last trick, a super long move called the Twin Power Assassin Moon of the Black Hand's heavenly fighting style. Jiang Qian shrugs it off with a bored look, telling them they're the only ones having fun, then blasts energy to dodge Ma Junbo's attack and leave him stunned. Ma Junbo can't believe he somehow managed to dodge that. Jiang Qi feels a punch that is packed with raw power hitting him. Ma Junbo believes the scumbag was pretending to be weak all along while secretly holding back his real strength. He takes the hit head-on, causing a huge explosion that leaves him broken on the ground, and Ma Junbo groans, wondering how the MC will fix the mess he just caused. Jiang Qian warns him that he's not here to take threats, but if the other guy starts talking, he might just let him live a little longer. He moves closer to Ma Junbo, ready to ask the same question again, but this time with a softer heart. He tightens his fist, eagerly waiting for a reason to throw another punch. With a frightening red glow all around him, he finally drops the truth and asks, "Can you lend me some cash?" "How about it?" As the MC chugs the entire bowl in one go while the Bango Sack leader's soul watches from behind, he realizes how long it's been since he felt this kind of joy. Suddenly, the servant grabs his arm, instantly ruining the mood. The crazy man claims it will make the young master ill, but the main character thinks stopping now is just a waste. In a room where grown men are kneeling, one of them stammers to ask the main character why they lent money to his clan without any guarantee, noting that even loan sharks hate losing their cash. Facing the guy directly, the MC tells me he smells something fishy in the air. The sect leader stammers, frantically trying to change the topic, but the MC sees right through him and knows the guy is just working overtime to cook up an excuse. Jiang Qian glows with menace, shakes a cup of dice, and warns the man to think twice, or he'll be forced to swallow 30 dice and lose his voice forever. The camera zooms in on the swinging lantern to make the scene feel even more tense. The Bangho sect leader finally breaks his silence and admits the order came from the Qi Manhwa merchant group, prompting Jiang Qian to remark that he suspected those rats all along and demand the full details of their deal. The leader freezes for a split second, but the MC pushes him hard, showing he doesn't have much patience left. Jiang Qian slams the table so hard it shatters, and he keeps it real. "If you want true loyalty, stand by your brothers, because the merchants don't care if your whole sect is wiped out tonight." The sect leader is sweating so hard he can't take the pressure and finally admits there was a secret contract. He says they were ordered to lend the Hua Flame clan so much money at such a high price that the clan would be ruined forever. The tale reveals that the merchants traded the MC's clan's betrayal for the land and a reward to keep them smiling. The MC grabs the contract and asks how much 300 gold would grow to in a year, and when he hears it becomes 5,000, he laughs at their boldness. Jiang Qian tosses the contract down, declares it's all settled, and keeps moving forward. With a stare that made everyone's skin crawl, the MC leaned in and asked, "Who is going to clean this up?" The leader shows they belong to the Soul Sect, one of the 4 martial heavens, and though the servant is stunned by this news, the leader explains that this partnership is brand new. Thoughtful Yung Chang remarks that the 4 heavens are in chaos, prompting the bewildered servant to shout out to him. The servant whispers that the young master has never met these men, but Jiang Qian just tells him to relax since he's not in the mood to explain anything today. Impatient with the cash delay, the main character grumbles while the terrified leader begs for just one more minute. Suddenly, the door bursts open with a crash. A heavy chest slams onto the floor right before them. The man who brought it shouts that there are 300 gold coins inside, leaving Zhang Qian totally surprised. The MC lifts the chest lid, scoops out the shiny coins with a grin, and declares it's plenty for a wild time. He tells everyone to get lost, and while the nervous servant worries about taking the money, the MC shushes him and orders him to carry the chest. As the heavy rain pours down outside the Bango SEC building, the two of them walk away together. As rain falls around him, Yung Qian walks past the sect members and says he'll take the loan onto his own tab. He turns around and warns that once he finishes settling the beef bill with the merchants, he'll return to pay. Before he goes, he casually remarks that they're stealing from poor people and kindly suggests they stop. The MC balls up his fist and warns them that crossing the line means he'll return to finish them off, leaving the trembling leader to nervously agree. The Bango Sack leader exhales a sigh that says he just barely escaped death. Back at the Hua Flame clan, the young master stared down his team, wondering who would be the first to break. Suddenly, one of the guards screams to the young master right at the clan gate. The girl points out the blood on the MC's shoulder, but he answers with a calm smile that it isn't his. The retainers ask what happened, and Zhang Qian replies that he just went to borrow a little money and nothing major occurred. He turns to the bearded man and tells him that feeding the warriors means no one will run away from hunger, while the bearded man stares at the chest in disbelief, asking where the hero got it since the Bango sect wouldn't lend anything. Only for the hero to insist he ordered them to record everything in the books. The MC tells the butler to just make sure everyone gets enough to eat and wear. With a wave of good luck, the MC heads away, leaving the guards staring at him in total disbelief. The camera tilts up to show Dong Qian walking off while the two of them just stand there, completely confused. One of them whispers to the other if there's a sickness that can make someone go crazy like that. The screen fades to a close-up of a quiet, unlit candle. A hand reaches out, lights the candle, and suddenly the dark room is filled with light. The MC steps out from behind into a candlelit room that looks like an ancestor altar. He feels a bit awkward speaking now because he grew up without parents. Zhang Qian speaks to his siblings' memories, telling them the money is safe and they can finally relax wherever they are. As he tells them he promised to fight a man named Chang Dabo for a scroll, the boy and girl watch him with their eyes. He folds his arms and tells his siblings not to worry because he's going to handle Chang Dabo. The story turns back to the candles dancing softly in the wind. The camera turns to show a lonely little hideout sitting right on top of the mountain. Before you knew it, time had zipped by, and we were staring at that same spot just as the sun began to rise. Out in the yard, the crew is working hard, dragging those giant wooden beams that look like they weigh a ton right into the house. One bandaged warrior stares at the scene, wondering what crazy new plan the MC has pulled off this time. An apron-clad guy cheers on the hard work, while another complains his back is about to give out and a third is already talking about grabbing a cold drink to relax. Suddenly, the MC crashes into the scene, buzzing with energy and asking if everything is locked down. The beams are marked with 50, 80, and 110 gene, and while the man says it meets the standards, the apron-wearing worker wonders why they are struggling so hard, but the scene suddenly shifts to a coffin with a sword resting on top of it. The MC, looking like a wrapped-up mummy, reaches out and asks what else you're supposed to do with a sword. He squeezes the handle hard and declares he's ready to swing his sword, beginning with a light 50 gene blade. But when it's time to go, the MC nearly faceplants with a nasty groan while the other guy stands there in disbelief, wondering if he's really about to try lifting that thing. Kneeling on the ground, Zhang Qian thinks he saw this coming. Yet it's crazy that he can't even lift 50 gene, so he mutters that this body is just trash. Even so, he grabs the sword handle with pure anger and declares he isn't backing down now. With a pained grunt, the MC finally grabs the sword with both hands, thinking at least he got it off the floor. He then spins to face the other man and snaps, "Stop staring and get to work calling Misoki." Dragging the heavy sword, Zhang Qian tells Misoki to make sure they stock up on plenty of meat for their meals. From the doorway, Misoki watches the MC walk away, worrying that he just can't let go of his stubbornness. Clutching the sword with both hands, Zhang Qian steps up to face the grind. In the dark hall, he swings his sword, knowing he has just 2 weeks left before the big fight. The tale reveals that his body is a pure, heavenly vessel completely at odds with his master's dark demonic arts, leaving him no choice but to master the 9 incomparable swords. He begins his training by spinning his body and striking in a circle, sending a wave of energy crashing out around him. Holding the gleaming blade, he steels himself with the belief that striking is the only path to avoid looking like a fool. The camera shifts to a hand gripping two slender sticks while a voice praises the feat. Sitting inside a fancy pavilion next to a crane, a man plucking his instrument wonders if Hua Mujin really knocked out those goons from the Bango sect. A subordinate reports that those guys have been out of commission for weeks, but wonders how it happened since Wu Mujin had no internal energy left. The man stared thoughtfully, noting that Chu Mujin wasn't quite as useless as he'd thought. With a wicked grin, he decides he should probably prepare a little gift for the Schwa Flame clan's heir. The camera snaps to a sudden clash where two blades spark as they collide. The musician is eager for the showdown and wants to see what MC Wu Jin is hiding. The picture looks like an old ink drawing of a giant brute standing ready to fight. A hand bursts out of a swirling cloud of black ink mixed with red splatters to show a mighty hit. That same brute from the picture gets slammed down to the ground by a hard kick. The MC throws a kick so fast, it leaves a blur of motion in the air. He hits the ground hard, proving his quickness and perfect control are working perfectly. The image reflected in his blade made him check his fist and sigh. So this is the heavenly martial Bodhi. At least it can take the pressure, while the flickering of several candles showed that time was running out. Suddenly, a crate filled with bamboo cylinders shows up right before your eyes. Seeing Masoki set everything up perfectly while his own back was turned and muscles on full display, the MC knew the plan was flawless. With sweat on his brow and a deep breath, Zhang Qian steps into his armor and declares that the show is finally on. He stomps the ground to plant his feet for the next part of training. The MC lunges forward with his sword, proving that this strike is the first form of the 9 solitary swords, known as the Declaration. He pushes forward without letting up. From above, Zhang Qian spins so fast, it looks like a swirling storm of power. The camera locks onto his suffering face right as the tail reveals his second power, the shattering form. He swings a heavy blow, and the story tells us that anything getting in his way will be broken. A burst of energy exploded from his chest, proving his engine is just warming up. His face twisted with pain. He wondered if he'd reach his limit, but chose to keep pushing through anyway. He kicks a small sphere into the air, already getting ready for his next move. With a swift spin, he strikes the sphere with his sword, leaving a glowing trail of energy behind. The screen melts into a wild mess of streaking lights as strikes slice through the air at mind-blowing speeds. Drifting in the middle of this glowing web, the MC is all set for another combo. The tail shows the third form, the sky-splitting form, as Zhang Qian stares down a floating ball of power. Even if the enemy's power is huge, it shatters instantly because his single strike cuts the sphere right in half. Covered in sweat and bandages, the MC looks like he is finally crumbling from exhaustion. He concentrates and unleashes a rush of his aura, showing he still has plenty left to give. But the hard work was too much, and he stumbled forward while grumbling that his back had suddenly locked up. With no time to rest, he slaps the ground and stammers out a call for the next challenge. Out of a crate, a rain of bamboo sticks shoots out at him like deadly arrows. He begins cutting the bamboo sticks one by one with his blade, moving with incredible skill. The story shines a light on the MC as he unveils his fourth form, the void-splitting form, proving that no enemy can escape his blade. He shows that simple is best by slicing through several bamboo sticks in a single powerful swipe. He swung at the rope in the middle of all the chaos, but he grumbled that he completely missed his mark. Furious over the failure, he slams his fist down into the dirt and screams in anger. Training turns into a nightmare as heavy wooden logs start falling from the ceiling and pounding right on his head. He stares hard, steadies his nerves, and the tail reveals the fifth form, the army massacre. A mountain of enemies waits in the logs, but they will all bow before this sharp blade. As he slices through the wood, the tale reminds us that a swarm of tiny ants can't stand a chance against a mighty elephant. He hits the ground with a dramatic flourish, sword stuck deep in the floor, looking like he just finished the job. But to ruin the perfect moment, a log crashes right down on his head, making him groan in pain. Fuming with rage and grinding his teeth, the MC shouts that the whole situation is just a joke. He gasps for air, then screams to start the next round while the candles flicker around him. The tale begins with the sixth form, a sharp divide that slices through calm water and even cuts a floating leaf. Without a second's thought, he leaps straight into the seventh form, twin lands, where his blade splits the earth beneath him with no mercy. Sweating and gasping, the MC realizes with shock that he's still standing. As the eighth form is announced and the sky begins to split apart, he wonders if there is anything out there he cannot cut. Suddenly, the ninth and final shape appears, a form that cuts itself free. The scene shows the MC stretched out on the floor, completely drained and believing he finally broke his sword, leaving him with no reason to keep fighting. He shuts his eyes and realizes that, at the end of the day, all of this is just a cheap copy. With his hand on the hilt, he thinks about this strange final shape. The story jumps back in time to when the master asks if the boy learned the move, but the kid thinks the whole thing is totally embarrassing. He constantly roasts him by calling out how names that claim to cut the sky and earth sound like nothing more than a kid trying to act cool. The master rubs his head in thought, admits the truth, but insists his friend's spirit must live on, leaving it up to the young one to keep the flame burning. The master tells the kid that his friend was the only swordsman strong enough to fight him, and the kid is shocked because that man had no power at all. The story reveals that he mastered these internal moves and hoped to pass them on to someone outside his sect, since no one within it would ever learn them properly. The kid, all sarcasm, asks if he's talking about that silly trick. The master snaps, losing his temper and giving the kid a sharp slap right across the forehead. The master tells the kid to shut up and keeps on explaining, saying he'll finish no matter if the kid likes it or not. He tells us that 1,000 swings will change your body, but it takes 100,000 to build your aura and 1,000,000 to make you unstoppable. The master claims you can learn everything in 3 years, yet he admits that in a real fight with his friend, one of them would have definitely died. Now, curious, the kid wonders what kind of monster his master's friend really was. The flashback fades away and Misak bursts out running toward the MC, screaming in pure panic. He spots Jiang Qian lying on the ground and checks if he's alive, but the main character gets angry and warns him that touching him will bring trouble. While munching, the MC grumbles that he quit way too soon and missed his goal, but he still decides to shovel food into his face anyway. He looks at the food with doubt and asks if it's pork. Masoki says the MC asked for it because it's been too long since they've eaten any protein. Jiang Qian insists on beef starting tomorrow, saying it builds strong muscles. As they eat, the MC tells him to spend the loan shark's cash if needed, warning him that he's about to feast like a king 3 times a day until the fight. Masek glances at the training gear in the back and asks his boss when he started learning this martial art. Masak stays true to a guy who barely acted like a person, and suddenly turning into a sword master is definitely strange. He just won't stop rambling about how it's a shock that the MC knows nothing about martial arts, yet managed to beat the Union Guards with just a chopstick and is now making up some crazy new sword style. The MC kept his mouth shut for a while, happily digging into his meal. Then he decides to spill the truth, revealing he isn't the eldest son named Wamwin, which so angers the demon Misak that he threatens to leave if these tall tales don't stop. He's terrified that one day his memory might fade away just like before, leaving him to vanish into someone else without ever getting to say goodbye. Masoki leans in and asks if he's ready to bail on the Yama clan. The MC slams his hand down so hard on the table that it sounds like your soul just left your body. He promises he won't leave until the Yama family is the toughest in Sichuan, and honestly, he has no other choice anyway. Maso stares in shock, repeating what he heard and wondering if he truly meant the strongest in Sichuan, while the MC nods in agreement as the camera lingers on a beautiful sky. Masoki bursts out laughing, thinking it's a joke, until the MC stops him by flicking his nose. The movie hit so hard that Masoki stood there with a huge bump on his head, totally confused about where the blow came from. The MC tells him the truth that if he's finished talking nonsense, he should beat it, and Sok agrees while rubbing his sore head and grumbling as he leaves. With his face wrapped in bandages and a serious look, the MC turns and strides off, focused on his plan. Far away, Chang Dabo glowed with power, and Era decided that the MC should aim to be the strongest in Insicuan, so he dropped the name of his future rival, Wamujin. The scene shifts to a teapot pouring out steaming hot tea. In a room, a man tells a bearded thinker that in just 10 days, Chiang Dabo will face off against the young Master Hua, and the bearded man mutters the opponent's name over and over while lost in thought. The bearded man grips his cup, realizing the other guy is about to challenge the young master, which means the crazy fellow will then go after Emperor Yam's inheritance. The other guy in the room, trembling with fear, urges them to grab their things and run before things go wrong. The serious bearded man snaps, asking what nonsense that is and warning him to think twice before he keeps talking trash. The bearded man stands up, looking at the MC's 2 siblings and declaring that he won't let the last 2 hairs get hurt either. The man complains that everything has gone terribly wrong. The MC stands broken on the porch at night, proving that training was far from easy. He believes that swinging his sword every day is enough to build strong arms, so now he can grip the heavy iron blade with one hand without a trembling. He stares at the bamboo mess on the ground, wondering why his technique is still as shaky as a dial-up internet connection. While rain pours down as he grips his sword, worry creeps in because the big competition is just 1 week away. As the MC's little brother watches from a distance, he sees his big brother, Murim, training like a wild beast. Suddenly, the two siblings burst through the door, and the MC wonders what the Rugrats are doing there. He warns them it's dangerous and tells them to play somewhere else. But the worried little sister says she's been watching for days and thought he was going too hard. She wonders if he's punishing himself for her harsh words about their parents' death and admits that she was wrong to be upset. The MC felt a bit awkward about the situation, so he just said he was going to head out. Every time he looks at these kids, old memories come rushing back to him. He gently patted their heads, said everything would be fine, and told them to just relax. The little brother, buzzing with excitement, tells his sister the Brujan stance is cool and tries to copy it, but she soon laughs, saying he stretched his arm too far. The MC watches the scene and wonders if the kid is really copying him, thinking the child is quite a character, while the sister keeps saying it's all wrong and leaving the boy confused. Seeing these kids brings back memories of the days he trained with his master. The scene flashes back to the master teaching him how to breathe. Blow all your air out when you strike, hold it tight, then pull it back in slowly. The tale reveals that the secret to the 9 lone swords lies simply in how you breathe. With his hand resting on his sword, he suddenly wonders if he let the master's words slip right out of his mind. He smiles with confidence and tells the kids to stay calm, knowing they've already won. With that done, he sends the kids back to their room right now. The two siblings sat frozen before the closed door, as still as mice, holding their breath for what came next. With a smile, the sister asks if everything will be okay, and the brother replies that he thinks so. The screen shifts to a roof drenched in pouring rain, setting a dark and moody tone. The MC focuses on remembering the lesson while swinging the sword, and lets out a long, complete breath. He stands ready, holding his breath without any hurry. Returning to the start, he takes a quick, steady breath as the guide leads him toward a cup of tea. By wiping away every memory he ever learned, he lets all the energy stored inside him burst out at once. Surrounded by flying wreckage, the MC shouts that he made it happen and celebrates because his plan finally worked. The buckets sway back and forth, and he looks relieved to have finally gotten the hang of it. The tale tells us that a pupil is a Qi Gong who makes inner energy by moving their body. He steps hard on the ground, feeling power surge through his veins. Unlike other meditation styles that treat waiting for energy channels to grow as a lofty goal, pupils see this path as too humble to be worth it. The relentless rain pouring over the statue marks the moment of clarity, signaling that the fresh start has finally arrived. The tale shows that to wake up his inner power, the secret lies in how his eyes glow blood red as he holds his breath steady, allowing him to slice water with ease and land a heavy, dark strike without his muscles shaking. After practicing the training dozens of times, the scattered energy finally began to come back together. The last shot shows someone using chopsticks to lift a piece of meat, signaling it's time for a good meal and some well-deserved rest. Meso turns to the bearded man and asks if the young master is still stuck in his wild training routine. The bearded man nods and says the guy has completely changed, going from passing out all the time to having endless energy now. One man thinks the special care he got must have been real, while another, smirking, jokes that he'll be checking out early just like that. The bearded man rested his hand on his forehead, wondering if even a miracle could explain such a quick recovery. In a memory, the bearded man warns the main character to find him if things go bad, and the main character simply nods and agrees, pocketing the box. Back in the present, the bearded man is still stunned by the young master's situation. Miss So rushed through the clan courtyard, her hurried steps echoing in the open space. He reaches the training spot and smiles as he announces that Chow is ready. Moke watches from behind as the MC fixes Amit's broken bamboo and assures him that everything will be fine. Masoki stared at the MC's thick arm and asked what business he was in, to which the MC replied that he was just trying to keep it tight. The MC says the spot got too cramped for all the training they did, which is exactly what he meant. He beams with a smile and declares that he'll be training on the main field from now on. The scene changes to a bright sunny day, and suddenly, a training dummy steps out in front of us. Two men in black uniforms stare out at the field, shocked to find people standing there. The masked MC watches from afar. He mentions that visitors are coming just as the crew is practicing on the field. Mosop steps up to the warriors and stumbles a bit as he tries to grab everyone's attention. He declares that the young master will train on the big field, but the warriors just turn their noses up at the idea. The MC's sword tip hits the ground so hard that everyone stops to stare. Holding his sword, the MC checks if they heard him and, since he needs to train alone, suggests borrowing the big field while they use the nearby one. One warrior, clearly irritated, asks, "What right does this half-dead corpse have to speak?" while another, his eyes filled with blood, retorts that merely swinging a sword doesn't make you a true martial artist if you've never even gotten the blade dirty. The main character gives a little smirk and teases them for being so bold. Just as one warrior gets angry and shouts about being the young master, a man from the MC's group suddenly calls him brother to try to calm everyone down. Chilbo, the old man who leads the death squad, raises his hand and orders everyone to step back because the young master is about to start training. From behind, the warrior remarks that the MC's craziness seems to have returned. Up close, Chilboin's serious expression shows he's about to shut down the amateur's weak performance. Chilbo, with a scar across his face, looks like he's had enough of the MC. The MC looks up and tells Kyoboin to speak his mind right now, adding that hiding in the shadows is just for cowards. Gripping the giant sword, the MC asks what they mean, reminding them that among warriors, problems are settled with steel. Chillboy looks down at the MC's sword tip, bracing himself for whatever happens next. Standing ready to fight, the MC declares that this dispute must be settled with a brutal beatdown. The scene centers on the clan entrance, where a heavy feeling hangs in the air. Chilbo smiles with confidence and says that no warrior will draw a sword against the future clan leader, but the MC retorts that a true fighter stays silent, while those who bark are just showing their fear, and Chilbo just stares at the MC sword without blinking. The MC steps up to deliver a harsh truth, telling him that if he won't charge forward, then stop barking from the sidelines and live like a dog hiding in shame. Chilbo's grip tightens on the sword, and it begins to pulse with a dangerous light. Chilin twirls his strange weapon and tells the MC that crying over spilled milk won't help now. Zhang Xian stays cool as he stares at the glowing blade and replies. Even though he doesn't regret anything, Chilboy's hand grips the handle tighter until it glows bright, showing that things are about to get ugly. The enemy only shouts louder, saying that complaining won't keep him alive. The MC, staying totally calm, begins to reply with a simple well. From far away, two clan members watch the beef cook. Clutching his giant sword, he finishes speaking to say that he simply won't let regrets rule his life. The sword is stuck deep in the earth while its sheath lies forgotten on the ground, proving the MC has chosen to settle this fight with his bare hands. Zhang Qian twists in a backflip, narrowly escaping Kyoboin's strike that slices right through the air. The MC lunges forward and slams his hand on Chilboin's face, leaving the commander totally stunned. One warrior in the crowd grows annoyed, confused about how anyone could fight without a sword and calling the move crazy. Chilbo swings his weapon with a mean look, but the MC dodges by leaning back so far he nearly kisses the floor. Sweat drips down Ma's face as he looks completely terrified. Chilbo, burning with rage, screams young Master W's name to stop running and draw his sword. With his face hidden, the MC nods in agreement, telling the commander he's spot on. The MC grips his sword tightly, bracing for Chayaboy, who charges at him like a runaway train. Chilbo bellows that he served the Yamama clan for 25 years and blames young Master Hua for the mess the place has become. The MC holds his heavy weapon tightly, proving he is the one in charge now. The commander keeps shouting, furious about the MC suddenly having the nerve to speak of martial arts. Chilbo's face is twisted in pure hatred as he clenches his teeth to strike with all his might. With a sharp strike, the MC knocks Chayaboy high into the air and yells for him to know his place. Young Kaien's eyes flare with a fierce warning, showing that he means business, and this fight isn't even close to being over. The MC readies his special trick, the 9 solitary swords' second move, which the Teo calls the breaker form. His fist glowing, he braces himself to meet Chilbo's fast-approaching strike. The commander is totally lost and shaken inside by the kid's amazing technique. With his face hidden, Zhang Qian says the commander spoke only the truth. Suddenly, the enemy gets punched hard in the face, sending red stuff flying everywhere. The punch landed right on Kyoen's chin with such force that she was knocked out of her cocky stance, and the MC announced that things would change from here on out. Chayaboy tumbles back, stunned to see the MC's dead gaze suddenly come alive. The camera zooms in on the MC's face, showing a confident smirk hiding beneath the bandages. The commander suddenly sees the world through a warrior's eyes, his heart burning with fierce determination. The two onlookers stood with their jaws dropped, unsure if young Master Hoya had truly won. Chilbo's men sprinted to their dying leader, screaming in panic to check if he was still alive. The MC sword is stuck in the dirt by his side, marking the end, while he shows off his muscular back and asks if anyone else wants to complain to customer service. One warrior, annoyed, called the MC a coward, but Zhang Qian stayed calm and asked why. The warrior starts blaming him, claiming he knew the commander couldn't use full force, but Chilboin cuts him off with a loud shout to shut his mouth. Kneeling with his subordinates' help, the battered commander admits he lost fair and square. The clan's roof glows under the bright sun, showing that the heavy mood has finally lifted. The MC stands alone in the courtyard with his back turned, soaking in the sweet taste of victory. Chayaboy bows and admits he's learned his lesson, so the MC lets him go with a warning, and the commander shouts out his loyalty and respect. The commander snaps the crew out of their chatter and points them straight for the training field right next door. The warriors silently slipped away, leaving the MC and Masak all alone in the vast courtyard. Zhang Qian glances at his buddy and nods for him to follow, catching Misoki off guard with a sudden command. Suddenly, the view opens up to show the empty courtyard, which is now just for the MC to train in. As the warrior stalks off, muttering that even the young master got too lucky, he turns to Chayaboy and demands why he didn't kill him, but the commander just laughs and admits he tried his hardest to send the kid straight to the afterlife. The subordinate is so shocked he asks if he's serious, but Chayaboy, full of pride, asks if he looks like a liar, leaving the guy totally confused. With his back turned, the commander thinks that whatever happened, their wild young master just found a godly chance, as a glowing picture of the hero appears. Mei overhears the talk, gets confused about this strange opportunity, and thinks that if the young master changes his mind, then it doesn't matter. The scene changes to night, where the clan's huge building stands tall under a gloomy sky. We watch a man from behind as he gazes at the scenery, and says that tomorrow he faces the Changhua Merchant Guild in a duel. Seen from the side, a bearded man asks the elder Zhou how long they belong to the clan, and Zhou replies it's been about 37 years, which gets him to remark that it is a heck of a long time, while the story reveals that Lord Yum was unbeatable in his youth, appearing alone to humble the arrogant Tang clan as a hand forms a fireball. The bearded man remembers how the two of them promised their lives to him, captivated by his sharp mind and shown a picture of Lord Yamji burning. He locks eyes with the elder and demands to know if he'll finally break that oath. The elder defends his actions by saying it isn't betrayal because they must protect their family line and the martial legacy, but the bearded man just scoffs, noting he already knows and doesn't need a lecture. He thinks back on 17 years of trying to stop the young master's crazy schemes and save the clan while everything fell apart. The bearded man is sure that even if they meet Lord Yum after death, he won't judge what they're about to do. The bearded man asks if everything is ready, and the elder replies that there's not much to pack since he just grabbed some silver to rent a place and 4 clan crests. The camera zooms in on Eller's face, showing how serious and determined he looks. The bearded man turns away and tells the elder to go on, though the old man looks a little scared to leave the place. As the bearded man looks at the MC's back, he decides the kid is family and someone has to stay behind to watch over the body. The old man with his glasses tells us that a master from the Merchant Guild will be watching the duel tomorrow. The bearded man, filled with disgust, grumbled that they brag about stealing as if it were a prize, all to make their clan takeover official. An older man with the rival guild's image behind him calls them cruel snakes and threatens to burn everything down to the roots. With the MC's sleeping siblings in mind, the elder tells everyone to head to the meeting spot, noting that the kids have already suffered enough for what's about to happen. As the sun climbs over the clan, a day that will change everything begins. While eating with Chow, Masek jokes that the meat tastes like shoe leather, and the MC explains it's just because they're using tough, cheap cuts. Mok, worried about the money running out, asks the MC if it's gone, only to be told he doesn't know because their administrator is so stingy. The friend asks if I'm sulking, and I deny it, but Masak presses me, saying why would I talk about running away if I'm just going to get punched anyway. The MC runs his fingers along his brand new clothes, completely shifting the focus. Wearing his finest clothes, the MC brushes off the question and just wants to know if he looks handsome today. Aok laughed and said he actually looked cooler with all those bandages wrapping him up like a mummy. Zhang Qian flicks him one more time, leaving Misoki with a sore forehead. The camera zooms in on the MC's sword, proving he's ready to fight. A bearded servant steps forward to ask the hero if he really means to fight. The MC, fed up, asks if he also came with that stupid advice to run away. The bearded man flatly denies it, so Zhang Qian orders him to stay put and promises to return once he's taken care of those thieves. A bearded servant strikes a pose and declares that he's coming along for this one. Zhang Qian keeps his silence, just staring at the bearded man who is determined to go ahead. The MC thinks this old man is just worrying for nothing, but whatever the truth is, he's the one who's going to wreck these guys. The big door swings open, flooding the room with bright light as the show begins. The morning sun bathed the clan's main courtyard in warm light. The MC stands ready for whatever lies ahead. The bearded man gives the word, and the 3 of them step forward to face the duel. Holding his brush, The man shouted that the day's big event was a martial duel between the Chang Wu Merchant Company and the Yama family. As the crowd goes wild and the announcer starts taking bets, a curious guy asks about the odds, and the bookie quickly crunches the numbers. The man holding the book says the prize is split evenly, and the surprised man replies that it's worth trying. In the middle of the crowd, a man says it's wiser to back the Yam family because they're martial artists, while another guy confidently tosses 2 silver coins to the young master of Yamoku. Just as someone screams that it's the young master Wagong, another person stands frozen, completely clueless about what's happening. Before anyone could even blink, the MC zoomed past the crowd in a spectacular arrival, kicking up a huge cloud of dust. Young Qian strolls in as cool as a cucumber, popping a lollipop and acting like he doesn't care one bit about the time. The man who bet on him starts panicking and begs the bookie to let him cancel his bet with real coins. The MC warns the bearded retainer that he won't be late, but as the man sips his drink, he wonders if drinking that much before a duel is too much. A red umbrella opens slowly to show an important person has arrived. An elegant woman steps out from under her umbrella to say hello, noting how long it's been since the two of you met. The girl turns to the main character and brings up their family, wondering if they really need to fight like this. She's terrified to learn the YMA family actually asked for the duel, knowing that pulling such a reckless stunt without the power to back it up is just a recipe for disaster. The MC can't believe his ears as they shift the blame onto his family, so he decides to return the favor in kind. A grinning guy who's up to no good can't keep the family secret, so after the art gets stolen, he decides the only way out is to settle it with a beating. The woman in red steps right up to the guy, demanding to know how they dared steal the Yam family secrets while the main character just stands there, completely lost on what's happening. With a sharp look, the girl snaps her umbrella shut and wonders how long the opponent will last before giving up. In the middle of the courtyard, a fire pit is lit to show everyone that the smackdown is about to begin. One of the organizers throws up a hand and shouts to wake up the crowd. At a fancy spot, a man steps forward to witness the duel between the beast named Hanagang from the Gongdong clan. The story reveals that this Hanagang was a tall, bearded man with a sharp look who commanded everyone's respect. The announcer keeps calling the fighters' names and shouting up the next boss of the merchant company, who happens to be Qian Dubai. Finally, they summon Hu Jin, the young master of the Yamwa family, who is already glaring at the enemy with a hunger for blood. The announcer shouts out that the fight is fair, and with the 2 fighters ready in the courtyard, the party is about to begin. Chang Dubois sneers and jokes that the MC got his little gifts, but the MC is totally confused about what he's talking about. Longhair reveals that the outfit MC is wearing is the family's official battle uniform, which he sent personally to celebrate Wamujin's return. The MC grips his sword hilt and slams his opponent with an O brimming with contempt, paying zero mind to the other guy's insults. As the MC pulls out his huge sword, Chang Dubois warns that once he's finished, he'll want his clothes and things back. In the crowd, one man questions if the family head truly knows how to wield a sword, while another wonders if anyone can even lift that huge, useless block of metal. A third man shouts in confusion to focus on hand-to-hand fighting as the 2 fighters lock eyes, ready to kill each other. Away from the chaotic crowd, a bearded man asks Misoki if the young master said anything, and Misoki replies that when he suggested running away, the main character got furious. The bearded, awkward guy asks if Misoki told him to run, and the kid replies that it was just a joke but that he's sure the MC will win. Masoke starts sweating bullets and wondering if he should have run away, but the bearded man says the young master has changed and wonders if that craziness is catching. The announcer, holding up a bell, shouts to see if both teams are ready to start the fight. The MC gazes at the sword blade with the intense focus of a student facing finals, bracing himself for whatever is about to happen. Chang Dubois, looking like a true winner, leans his sword on his shoulder and says he is ready to play. As the announcer bangs the gong and shouts that the rumble has started, everyone knows it's finally time to go. The MC doesn't hesitate, darts forward, spins through the air, and brings the heavyweight crashing down on his opponent. Chang Dubois is so surprised by how fast the move was that he can hardly react to its boldness. The swords meet with a loud crash, sending sparks and energy flying as the crowd goes crazy, amazed by the MC's speed and guessing what energy drink he just drank. As Chang protects himself, the crowd murmurs that the young master was supposed to be crazy and weak, wondering where all that power came from. Qian Dubois clicked his tongue in annoyance for underestimating his opponent. The long hair charges forward, screaming that no matter what, the MC skills are still those of someone who just started yesterday. The blades crash together again, ripping through the air and leaving a bright trail of energy in their wake. The battle spirals into a chaotic blur, where the two slam blows back and forth so quickly that if you blink, you'll miss a thing. One hit was so fierce that it sent sparks flying everywhere, proving they aren't playing around. The two clash swords, pushing hard against one another to see who is truly in charge. In a careless mistake, the MC gets a cut on his face, and the red blood starts to trickle down. A burst of energy explodes from between the swords, hurling them both back into the corners. Once the dust clears, they lock eyes with deadly hunger, looking like two pit bulls ready to attack. The crowd went wild, screaming and shaking with excitement as the crazy fight raged on. From a distance, you can see the bright flash of their fight as the clash of metal rings out across the entire courtyard. Sitting front row, the umbrella woman can't believe Wu Jin is holding his own, thinking his moves look like child's play compared to the other guy's techniques. Qiang Dubwa sees a chance and twists his body to swing a side strike aimed at cutting off the MC's head. The strike hits the MC's arm right on target, and he can feel the cold, heavy edge of the blade pressing into his skin. Even as he's thrown back, the MC refuses to quit and spins his giant sword into a deadly fan to defend himself. He plants his foot firmly and lifts his sword, proving he still has plenty of energy left because the battle is nowhere near over. The MC roars, throws all his power into a mighty slash, and carves a huge crater in the ground just from the force of his blow. As the dust from the slam settles, it shows the two of them standing in the middle of a war zone. The MC, with sweat dripping down, finds himself taking this little game much more seriously than he ever expected. Qiang Dubwa, his eyes shining blue, warns that this time he's going to beat the guy so hard he might turn to mush. Clutching his sword tightly, the MC realizes that breaking other spirits is the house's special trick as a dark red aura of pure evil leaks from him. The two rush in with their own glowing colors, ready to crash their powers together again. The MC was knocked backward by the crash, but he didn't even flinch, acting like the hit was just a gentle pat. The bearded man chuckled, saying the young master was taking too long to fall apart, while Masak guessed the hero isn't even trying his hardest. The bearded man is still confused, and Masek admits he's been spying on the boss's training all along. He warns that something truly evil could be lurking and admits the sight he witnessed was too shocking to take in so quickly. The MC, his face soaked with sweat, knows that none of that matters right now. He realized that even if his foes once had the upper hand, he always found a way to send them packing to the afterlife. With a red aura surging through him, he readies his final blow, only to be surprised when a blue energy suddenly erupts from his body as he plans his next move. The scene zeroes in on their eyes, one burning blue and the other blazing red right at the moment the tension snaps. As the swords burst with light, they rush forward while the MC yells that he's sending this guy to a better place. The story turns its eyes to the trail, guiding you to leave the cabin and walk about 5 kilometers east. Keep following the directions until you spot a hawthorn tree, then walk another 3 kilometers. Suddenly, we see a wrecked road, a broken wagon, and someone lying on the ground. The man standing by the carriage takes a deep breath and declares that he has finally made it through whatever life throws at him. He gave thanks that the two kids fell asleep, which made the journey much easier. The sun beats down on the temple roof as a man asks the elder to join him, but the old man stays behind to gather the young master's remains, for they are still one blood. The old man, his face dark with worry, promises to handle young Master Wa's funeral himself. He says yes, promising to head off and meet them right where they planned. Standing all by himself, he sighed and looked up at the sky, wondering if he was about to make a huge mistake. Back in the arena, the fight rages on as the two warriors clash and send sparks flying with every hit. Even though the MC thinks Qiang Dubwa is pretty good for his age, he's still just an amateur. The blades crash together with crazy strength, proving that neither fighter wants to give up. Both of them were knocked backward by a heavy blow, spun around in the air, and landed on the ground. The crowd watches in total confusion, completely baffled by what is unfolding before them. One guy wonders why the fight is so evenly matched and thinks the MC has the upper hand, while another says that the guild's second-in-command isn't as impressive as everyone thinks. Qian Dubwa, battered and drenched in sweat, clenched his teeth in furious rage as his enemy screamed like a madman, gathering energy for a massive attack. From the stands, Masoki and the bearded man scream in desperation, pleading with the MC to move aside. Meanwhile, the woman in red lets out a small smirk, clearly enjoying what is about to happen. The tale reveals that the main character is wielding the first move of the 9 peerless swords, a technique meant to stop trouble before it starts. The main character dashes in and swings his huge sword to stop the dark attack, sending a shower of sparks flying everywhere. The crowd dropped their jaws in shock, staring at the miracle right before their eyes. One spectator yelled, puzzled about how he could possibly have stopped that hit. Chang Dubois ground his teeth and grunted in pain as his attack was simply crushed by sheer strength. In a sudden flash, the MC flings the opponent so hard they fly through the air like a rag doll. The MC gives a cheeky little smile, showing he's totally in control of the mess. Chang Dubois jumped up, yelling at the MC's family and calling him crazy. The enemy begins hoarding too much power, preparing for a final blow that will seal their victory. From the stands, the bearded man and Masoki notice the opponent is plugging his battery in to get ready for a huge attack. Knowing this fight is all or nothing, the main character rushes forward, screaming that the opponent is as slow as a snail, even while charging up his power. Chang Dubois is so surprised by how fast it all happened that he is completely caught off guard. The story shows how the main character unleashed the technique's second form, known as weapon destruction. With a swift strike, the MC's glowing blue sword smashed into the enemy's weapon, shattering both of them apart. Qiong Dabo, drenched in sweat and feeling utterly helpless, wonders how he can't stop the MC's powerful attacks. As his voice fails him in a stutter, he drives his cracking sword forward with all his might against the smug grin of a foe who thinks he's already won. Qiong Dabo's sword couldn't handle the heavy pressure and broke apart, scattering like shiny metal confetti. Chang Dabo screams inside as he is pushed back, furious that a useless bum without an energy core has forced him to lose. Chang Dabo's sword blade snaps in half and falls to the ground, sealing the poor guy's defeat forever. The MC spins around and strikes the last blow with his sword, leaving a wicked red trail in the air. Qiong Dabo, his face a mess and mind in shock, can't believe the magic he just saw. The MC strike screams right past, proving that the speed and sharpness of that attack are truly something not to be taken lightly. Chang Dabo got hit right in the chest and winced in pain from the sudden blow. The MC slashes upward with a clean cut, wrapping his opponent in a glowing pillar of red energy. The crash was so hard it sent metal shards flying everywhere, proving the damage was terrible. With a heavy thud, Chang Dabo's arm hits the floor, finally taking a permanent break from his body after getting hit by the MC. The woman in red sees the chaos he caused and screams Dabo's name in pure despair. Even Mass Oak and the bearded retainer in the VIP seats are stunned by how brutal the victory was. With the MC standing tall in the rain of red like a living masterpiece, a stunned spectator can't believe that young Master W has actually defeated his opponent who now lies on the ground. Zhang Xian walks up to the broken pieces of his opponent and grabs hold of them. He grabs Chang Du's arm and declares he'll keep it as payment for 17 years of holding a grudge. The woman in red freezes in horror, stumbling over her words as she asks him to repeat what he just said. The MC suggests that, being from the Chiangwa Merchant Guild, he might know how to glue the arm back on. In a swift motion, he hurls the guy's body back into the crowd like a heavy sack of potatoes. Hanek Gang shields the woman by holding his arm out to stop the falling body from crushing her. Chang Dabo lies as white as a sheet, frozen cold, while Hanek Gang presses his hand against his chest to feel if his heart still beats. The woman in red gasps in shock when she sees her own energy core is just as dead as his. The witness asks the MC if he had to be that tough, but the swaggering Zhang Qian, with his sword resting on his shoulder, simply wonders what the witness is talking about. The Panic Gang stays honest, admitting the skill gap was clear and the fight ended long ago, but the MC turns around with a grin to drop some truth bombs of his own. The woman in red, her eyes blazing with anger, screamed to know if it was really needed to smash the head of a 5-year-old boy who didn't even know how to fight. The MC, glowing with a dark red aura and bright eyes, declares that he is finally collecting a debt from 17 years ago and warns that anyone who touches the Flamewheel clan will pay a heavy price. He says to get ready, then turns his back and walks away, leaving the crowd waiting. The woman in red kneels on the ground, looking as though the entire fight has just shattered her world. She grips her fist tightly while crying out his name, vowing she will never forget this humiliating moment. As the crowd watched everything unfold, they began to slip away with shocked and fearful looks. A group of guys in the crowd cheered wildly, lifting their hands in joy as if their team had just won the Super Bowl. An old man in a hat cries out, "It's unbelievable. He crushed that Kong Dong disciple so fast." Another marvels at the sword move he's never seen, while a third declares, "A new master has arrived." Masoki and the bearded retainer rush toward the MC shouting his name, and the bearded man urges him to go home, which which the back-turned young Qian agrees to with a simple yes, even as Masoki wonders if the young master's back has always been so broad. Young Qian summons Chief Administrator Du, who answers immediately, still shaken from the chaos. The MC says he wants to talk about that, leaving the administrator confused and wondering if he found out about the escape plan. Zhang Xian smirked and asked if the old man had already spent the gold he'd left with him. The flustered administrator stammers, "Of course not, and there's still some change," while the MC wonders if he'll have to rob the bank again soon because his funds are running low. The bearded man steps forward to whisper that he has more news to share. He begins to mention Elder Zhou and the other warriors, but the MC interrupts him, showing he doesn't care at all if they want to leave the clan. The administrator is so shocked they nearly cry, but the MC keeps talking with a dark, scarred face, warning that anyone trying to separate him from his younger siblings will have to bet their very lives. The scene shifts to bright, beautiful mountains where the sun rises, marking the start of a brand new day. The siblings show up. The little girl yells that her brother lost his fight. The boy gets mad and says he won't forgive anyone, and Dad tries to calm them down so they can read the pigeon's message. The clueless little girl tugs at the man's hair, leaving him to gasp, and oh my God. A sheet of paper drifted down to show that the young master's escape plan had failed, and everyone had to run back immediately because things had gone terribly wrong. The MC rests his hand on his chin and says, "Since we're talking about money, it's time to collect." Chief Administrator Du and Ma So are completely confused. So the first one asks what this gathering is about, and Zhang Xian answers that he means the bad guys from the Bango sect, and it's time to deal with them. The MC tells the chief administrator to go rest because he'll handle the business, but the bearded man tries to argue, worried that even though the young master seems different, he's still in danger. Zhang Xian tells the old man he worries too much. The administrator warns him to be careful with the Gold sect, and the MC replies that he understood and is already heading out. Administrator D watches the MC walk away with a look that spells trouble. Outside, Masoki wonders if the young master is truly heading to the Bango sect, but with a nod, the MC confirms he's off to settle some old debts before they grow any bigger. With a cheeky grin, the MC tells Masoki to stick with him as the boss, leaving Masoki so confused he stammers to ask if he really is the one in charge. The view shifts to a fancy building where the sign reveals it belongs to the Bango sect's loan shark operation. A man wearing a hat greets the MC with shock, believing he would never see Gongxi again in his entire life. The man in the hat can't stop wondering what happened, recalling how the MC turned the Qiangwa Guild's son into paper, while the MC simply states he came there to settle his debts. Laughing, the MC asks if the business has collapsed, only for the man to awkwardly admit that most gambling addicts left to watch the young master's duel, leaving the MC to realize the entire crowd had been there just for him. Zhang Xian stepped forward to ask if they bet on his fight, leaving the man in the hat looking completely stunned. The man bows fast to apologize, while the MC guesses that the bets on him must have paid out huge, letting the guys make a fortune. Suing buckets, the man confirms in his mind, panic hitting hard as he wonders what the MC is going to pull. The MC claims the others have pocketed money thanks to him, and asks if they'll stay quiet, while the man worries he's about to be robbed, but claims they'll thank him instead, leaving Zhang Qian to doubt that story. Sitting in his chair with Moke by his side, the MC remarks that it's good to hear this while the hat-wearing man stands silent before him, analyzing him as someone completely unrecognizable whose aura is as cold as ice, like a master waiting to kill. The leader jumps straight to the point and demands to know where the boss is, while the man in the hat, trembling with fear, stammers and asks why. Suddenly, the MC slams his hand on the table and warns that he hates having to repeat the question. The MC warns that if the guy doesn't spill it, he'll deal with him the hard way, and then he kicks the man in the hat so hard that the man flies away like a rag doll. A bald man with a scar over his eye and a mustache steps into view, and the tale reveals he is the leader of the Bango sect, Che Wonju. Che stares at MC, asks what this mess is, and if he's in charge, and when MC mentions they discuss Gong Kaian, Che just points out that complicate things is a bad idea since he's not even that handsome. Che points out a shadow behind you and wonders if that kid is one of your goons. Suddenly, a dark energy appears out of nowhere, and the shadow darts quickly to show who is hiding there. Suddenly, a red-haired man with a crazy grin appears, calling himself the Black Crow of Death from the Soul Sect, and mocking the MC for talking too much about his stolen goods, while Yung Xian whispers in doubt about the stranger's identity before telling him to shut up and keep out of grown-up business. The dark crowd lets out a creepy giggle, showing their teeth as they laugh at the MC's boldness. A sea of black-clad figures surges forward, their dark energy crackling as they demand a fight with the MC. Malak screams out for the young master in panic as the scene turns dark. Holding a chopstick, the MC declares that the guy's origin doesn't matter since anyone standing in his way is getting in trouble. He finishes explaining they'll get an extra hole in their body, then tosses the chopstick that pierces Crow's hand, pins him to the wall, and sends tomato juice splashing everywhere. The MC doesn't hesitate, snatches another item from the table, and hurls it at Crow with the accuracy of a sniper. The Black Crow grins at his pierced hand, thinking the MC is just a kid, but he quickly realizes there's way more to him than meets the eye. He jokes that the MC stabbed his hand with a chopstick and calls him a curious devil. The Black Crow gets mad, yells at the MC to calm down, and then slashes Zhang Qian with dark claws. The blast slams straight into the MC, shattering the wooden floor and filling the air with a swirling cloud of dust. As Crow stares at the smoke, the MC suddenly appears beside his head to ask what he sees, leaving the red-haired man in shock. With one perfect kick, the MC blasts the Black Crow through the air. Young Qian laughs at the danger while the Black Crow stares in disbelief, wondering how the kid slipped through so easily. Holding up another chopstick, the MC looks the opponent straight in the eyes and declares it's time to let some fresh air in. Mei Sok and the bearded man stand with their mouths wide open as a piercing sound echoes around them. The MC stands before Black Crow, who is on his knees with a fresh wound, while Young Qian jokes about the airflow and the red-haired man curses the MC as he bleeds out. The Black Crow lunges up and screams that the Soul Sect will come to collect, but Young Qian doesn't even care and just tosses an O. Crow keeps threatening that the MC's family and friends will pay the price, but he gets silenced by a brutal punch from Gongqi. Right in the MC's face, someone dares Crow to send the soil sack if he has the guts, while the redhead is moments away from her final moment. With nothing left to fight for, Black Crow begs for his life, promising gold and women, while Zhang Qian asks if he's finally decided he wants to live. The camera zooms in on the MC's foot stepping forward, the crunch of the ground sounding like the final move before the job is done. As Crow fights for breath, the MC turns down the women, but can't resist the tempting offer of money. Crow squashed flat, but still shouts that Diang will make it right, and the MC agrees while warning him not to try to cheat him. With his eyes gleaming, the MC delivers his final warning, telling the guy that if he doesn't return, he'll soon learn how to breathe through the fresh holes we're about to punch in his face. The Black Crow crows that he'll be back before vanishing, while the MC flips a coin and turns his gaze to the sect leader watching from the front row. With a dark frown, the MC stepped right up to the bald leader and asked if they were ready to settle the score. The leader of the Bango sect throws himself to the floor, begging for his life, while Zhang Qian, completely unsurprised, asks if he's ready to make a deal. The bald man, desperate and screaming, yells that he will give up everything he owns to the MC without even thinking about it. With a red glow around him, the MC stands his ground and calls the leader's claim ridiculous, leaving the shocked man confused by such bold logic. Zhang Qian says his profits and the ruined lives of commoners already cover everything he owns, while the bald man stammers that he'll give up even what he doesn't have. But before the leader could even finish his thought, something shot right through his skull, and the MC asked if he really didn't get the basics. With the leader lying dead on the floor, the MC wonders why that guy kept giving him the stuff that was actually his to take. The camera shifts to the man in the hat, who watched it all happen up close and now stands as pale as a sheet, frozen completely by terror. The MC asks the hat guy who's taking the heat now, and after stammering that he's the vice leader, Zhang Qian admits he was surprised. The vice leader goes crazy and pleads not to die, promising to be a good person if the MC just gives him one last shot. Sitting there totally relaxed, the MC says, "Cool, he can live," leaving the vice leader staring at the floor in shock at his unbelievable luck. Holding a piece of paper, the MC asks how much money the dead man left behind, and the vice tells him that adding up the house, his nightlife spots, and the cash adds up to about 4,000 gold now. The vice leader keeps talking, saying that the Bango group now owns 10,000 gold coins, plus an extra 500 coins they must give to the Soul group. The MC pulls out a scroll to crunch the numbers, muttering, "Let's see," while pointing out that the leader's 4,000 and the business profits are clearly his. The math is still running. 10,000 in assets, 500 in tribute, and a fee of 20,000 yang for emotional damage, leaving the vice trembling at the price while the MC insists it's perfectly fair. The vice leader instantly agrees and promises to handle the paperwork as planned, while the MC orders him to sort out the documents and gold right there, and the man follows instructions like a well-trained dog. As the vice heads off to work, the MC turns to the other henchmen and lets them know the truth, sending shivers racing down their spines. He stared at them with a dark, grim expression and asked if they should start talking about buying their way out, which left the entire crew trembling in fear. The MC dropped a harsh truth, warning that while the boss would live, the rest of the gang faced death, so the terrified henchmen begged for their lives. The camera jumps to Chief Administrator Du, who lets out a scream so loud it feels like a scene from a horror movie. The administrator stares at a towering pile of chess and wonders what kind of madness this is, while the MC, standing beside Misoki, explains he just returned from the collection party. The MC grins as if he just won the lottery and tells everyone that each chest holds about 400 gold now. The camera zooms in on the shiny pile of coins while Chief Administrator Duke stands frozen, barely able to speak young Master Hua's name. The administrator demands to know who controls the Bango sect, and Zhang Qian admits it is the Soul sect, though when the old man presses for their allies, the MC shrugs and admits he has no idea. The bearded man tells us that Zhuang from the Crimson Sword sect is a sworn brother to both the Black Crow of Death and the Red Crow from the Soul sect. The MC pauses to think, then wonders if this Black Crow of Death is the same guy with the black fingers. The administrator gasps in shock, asking if they've met before, but the MC just calmly confirms it, explaining he shoved chopsticks into the old man's eyes, leaving the old man speechless. The MC warns Chief D that this enemy might be too tough for Elder Joe's group, but he laughs it off, saying that if anyone comes after him, he'll crush them all. With crates all around him, the MC shifts the topic and asks for a tender steak for dinner, promising plenty of food for his brothers when they return. The MC walks inside while the chief administrator just stands there, frozen and unable to speak a word as he goes. While the MC leaves, the administrator,